why we limit screen time, why they can't be on it all the time, what are some other important things to do for their development.
Welcome to the Precision podcast, where we inspire and encourage pediatric professionals like you. I'm your host, Holly Peretz, pediatric occupational therapist and the founder of Precision CPD, your go-to platform for accredited and accessible professional development. Each episode, we'll dive into practical tips, expert insights, and uplifting stories to help you make a lasting impact in your work with children. Whether you're an OT, PT, or SLP, we're here to support your growth and success. Let's keep learning, growing, and making a difference together. If you've ever thought about writing a book, today's episode is just for you. I'm going to be talking to Kailan Carr, who is a former teacher with a master's degree in literacy, who's on a mission to prioritize play for kids living in this screen-saturated world. Adults understand the effects of screens, the effect that they can have on kids, and the importance of active play in their day. But this can be hard to explain to kids. And that is where Kailan comes in. She was selected as a finalist for the Play Promoter Prize for 2024 because I believe that we who work with children can learn so much, not only about holding space for change and promoting play inside of our classrooms, homes, or therapy rooms, but about how we can embrace a creative method like writing a book that directly appeals to kids. This book has been a huge success, and I think that you can all see why after listening to Kailan share. Okay, Kailan, so it is such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for applying for the Play Promoter Prize, and I'm so excited to tell everyone about the work that you're doing, about your book, about the heart of play here. Before we get there, do you want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and then also how the idea for this book, how it all started?
Sure, yes. Thank you for having me. I am a former teacher, and so I love using books as teaching tools for difficult conversations. It's better to come from a book than, mom nagging or, teacher, whatever. So let me say that my kids are now 10 and 12, but they were born about the same time as the iPad was. And I knew going into parenthood, that I a former teacher. So I know the importance of language development, communication, and just time away from screens to develop. But the iPad just introduced this whole new thing into our world where I didn't like how just entrapped they were to, this device, and they were consumed by it at, such a young age. And then when it was time to take it away, then it was behavior issues and tantrums. And then it was constant questions of when am I going to get it next? And I just had enough at one point. I thought this new thing is supposed to be really cool, but I just do not like how my children are turning out right now. And so I put it away and we stuck to screen time on the TV. And now that was my gut intuition. And now there's just so much research out there and about, persuasive design and how it's just completely meant to keep kids on. And then it's overstimulating and affects their behavior. So with that background, I knew that I would like to have a book to read to my kids to help explain why we limit screen time, why they can't be on it all the time, what are some other important things to do for their development. And there was nothing out there. Like, it was the Berenstain Bears watched too much TV at the time. And so I decided, this is actually my fifth book, so I was more comfortable with this writing process, but this was one book that I just felt I needed to write, and the words just flowed out of me on like what I would want to say to my kids in a fun and playful way. I'm not, demonizing screen time at all. It exists and it's there and it's fun, but I want kids to understand the effects that it can have when we have too much of it. And then I wanted to give them ideas of all kinds of other things that they can do instead to play and learn and grow their brains, and to talk about how being in real life is just so important for development. And so that's the reason for the book.
Yeah. And the book, it's Screens Away, Time to Play, correct?
Yes. Screens Away, Time to Play.
I so appreciate this, like the thinking behind developing this, writing this, because really, it's a difficult subject. I was thinking as you were talking about like food, how we don't want to demonize like sweets or sugar or any type of food. At the same time, we're much more, I think, in this generation of parents than previously, aware that we do need to educate our kids about food, about nutrition, about what food does in our bodies and what's good, like what does a lot and what does a little, or however people choose to, like the language they choose to use about this. And with screens, it's almost even more, because my child doesn't necessarily know what someone else eats in their house. So they're not necessarily having the ability to say to me, but this kid eats pizza every single day, maybe in lunch boxes, but not like to the extent that they know full well the full family menu each day. But in terms of screens, they really do, because it's like it's something that they end up playing out, the things that they're playing or the things that they're watching, or when there's social situations and there's no boundaries on screens, everybody else is on screens. This happens a lot with our family. Everyone else is on screens, and then the kids are like, but how come they're allowed and I'm not allowed? So giving them also the tools of the why through a playful, beautifully illustrated explanation is so, so powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have done that analogy before, and I like to say, when it comes to like ed tech and like the games that are learning, and parents and teachers seem to, they think it's okay because they're learning and it's it's educational, but really, in my comparison, it's like apple pie. It's got fruit, right? It's healthy, it's got healthy components, but does that mean they should be eating it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? No, it's not healthy. That should not be the replacement for play and actual learning in real life, how kids are meant to truly develop and play. And it's these marketers who are making the parents think that this is what kids need. This is what they're missing. This is the key to helping them learn and grow. And it's not true.
Absolutely. I think like I read something the other day, like tablets, the biggest market for tablets is in the toddler tablets, which is just right. Like if you're unaware that toddlers or parents are being marketed to that their children need to have tablets, it's very, very strong. Okay. You saw the need for the book. You said that it flowed out really naturally because there was, obviously a lot of motivation behind it. Do you want to explain a little bit about how, I definitely know nothing about how does one even begin to write a book? And I know that your book has, done really well and has received awards and all of this. So tell us a little bit more about the actual process of idea to launch.
Yeah. So I have written 4 other books with a traditional publisher. And this book was in those situations, the publisher came to me and was like, we would like you to write this book. Are you interested? And I said, yes, of course. I'm not going to pass up this opportunity. But this book, Screens Away Time to Play, was my idea. And so that makes it different. Like I needed to pitch to literary agents who go to publishers who accept these books. You can't just as an author submit straight to a publisher these days. You need to have a literary agent pick you, believe in your book. At the time, I attempted to pitch a couple literary agents. They take a long time to get back to you. They're very busy and they take just a few authors like a year, and they're working to get these books in. So it's very competitive and it's very difficult. And I waited maybe like 2 months and I'm like, I don't have the patience for this. This book needs to be out now. And so I switched and opted for a self-publishing route. So I was familiar with the process. I was determined to make this book to be able to sit next to any book on Barnes & Noble bookshelf at Target, and you would not know the difference of a self-published versus a traditionally published book. So I hired an editor. I hired a professional illustrator, and I hired another editor afterwards there's developmental editors and rhyming and meter editors since it's a rhyming book, and then copy editors at the end to make sure it was all perfect. And then I hired a printing company to print offset copies, and it's really nicely done. There's a little glitter texture on the cover. I'm very, very happy with it. I almost skipped a very important thing. In order to get the money to do the offset printing, it costs a lot of money to print 2,000 copies of a book. I did a Kickstarter. And so that is like a platform. It's not like crowdfunding, it's more like pre-order. So you're getting the word out there and everybody like supports your project by making a pledge, but you get something in return. It's not just like asking for, donations to get my book printed. So you're just saying, I want to support you. I believe in this project. I'm putting up my money now so you can have it to get the book printed. And I realized I'm going to get this in a few months from now. And so that was very successful. I doubled my goal and it was really, really exciting. I will never forget that day where I met my goal in 12 hours on the first day. And we had 30 days to go. And so in the rest of the time, I doubled the goal. And so then I was able to get that money, use that money to get the offset print. And now I put it up on Amazon. I've approached stores like local bookshops and toy stores. And so I'm really doing everything, which is a whole lot of work, but I have complete control over this. A very special book to me, and it's worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that just really speaks to the need as well for the message that the book portrays, that it was so successful in the Kickstarter. It's a wonderful way to kickstart, for lack of a better word, to kickstart something that is really needed and something that is a passion project. Amazing.
Absolutely. A lot of people were telling me once they received the book, like, this is what I needed to help explain to my kids. They get it too. They said, 4 and 5-year-olds, they're getting this message, and that was just like the best feeling, like, because I mean, that is why I wrote it. That's what I want to help parents and teachers convey to kids. And I would love for the phrase screens away, time to play just to be like a household phrase, because they read the book, they remember, oh yeah, I need to have some limits. I have other things that I need to do to help grow my brain. I don't quite know what I want to do, so I'm going to use the book, like look through the pages and get some ideas, because the beginning is a little bit about screen time, but then I go into just so many ideas in a fun, playful way on easy things that kids can do, like build a fort, go outside and climb a tree, pick up a new sport, play with Play-Doh in your hands, and read books, really basic things, but you forget about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect kind of segue for that tension of like switching something off or putting something away, because it does have all of the ideas. I have the book on Kindle, and I just really appreciate how often when something goes off, screens off, that's what they know. They're like fixated on that thing. This thing is off or over, and now I'm bored and the world is over. We cannot progress past this frustration. But to have that like immediate visual picture of like, this is the next step. Like there's a clear next step. Yeah, not well, be upset about this, but like there's a clear next step that we can do, which is to play. And the book is also done really well. Do you want to tell our audience about that as well?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was exciting. I submitted for an award before it was even out published. It was a Teachers Educators Choice Award, and the book won for that. And so that really meant a lot, that a group of teachers picked my book as, an important read for the classroom. And it has over 100, I think we're at 119 Amazon reviews. Yeah, I'm very happy with and excited on what is to come.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is really impressive how successful it's been, and just like the persistence and perseverance that you've put on the back end of this. Often, we all have these things that we're like, this would be a great idea. This would be something that I want to do. But it's not only that you did the thing, but like you've just been like, you've been pushing on it and it's doing really well. And what an incredible way to, again, like just visually represent for children the importance of play, like the abilities that they have to go out and play, and how much they need that.
Yes. And I actually I have a whole presentation for author visits. So if anyone out there is interested in me, I can do Zoom or I can travel, and I come in and I read the book, but in a fun way. And then I show kids the process of writing a book and take them from, my idea that I had like 10 rough drafts and going through that process to the storyboard with the illustrator, and how she, went from rough draft sketches to color, and then like the printing and and all of that. And then also just emphasizing the importance of play in early childhood. And so if you'd like that message to come to your school, I'm available.
Oh, absolutely. Which state are you in?
I'm in
Where are you based?
California,
Okay.
Bakersfield, California, but there's, willing to travel, and or Zoom is an option too.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have all of your details and also the book linked down below for people to check out. Ethics CEUs can be, well, let's be honest, pretty dry and pretty far removed from your day-to-day work. That's why when I created our 2-hour CEU accredited ethics course called Implementing Ethical Reflection in Family-Centered Practice, I wanted something accessible, meaning you can watch this course on video or you could listen on podcast. This 5-star rated course has been completed by hundreds of professionals already who describe it as in touch with the reality of the field or appropriate and applicable information. Or like Catherine said, I'm a PT who has worked in early intervention for over 13 years, and I just want to say that your ethics class was one of the best I have ever taken. Come join the course today by following the link down below in the description box, and you'll be able to tick off those ethics CEU requirements by the end of the week. I was kind of wondering in terms of moving forward, like I think the idea to go and show children this is just incredible because kids are so often like process based. So for them to like see like the book didn't just arrive one day, but there was like this whole process to how you did this is really incredible. I'm sure that you've gotten a lot of feedback as well from families. Do you want to share any of that? Like how are they using it or how are they seeing this benefiting their children?
Yes. So one great story that I got from a supporter, she sent me a picture of in the book. There's a pie chart that I wrote, or a little girl in her room is drawing, and it just shows how screen time should be a tiny slice of your day, and then there's the important things of getting outside, make sure you have enough sleep, and you're eating and you're reading, like all the things that kids should be doing every day. And she showed me a picture of her son who was just in his room and came out and said, "Hey, Mom, look it." And she's like, "Oh, did you do this at school?" And he's like, "No, it's from the book Screens Away, Time to Play." And he had written or drawn his own pie chart of what he's done in his day. And it just was amazing that he connected that and he decided to do that on his own, and it just makes sense to him. And so there's been great stories of like I've heard parents leave it as a coffee table book so that when kids aren't sure what to do next, it's right there for them. They just say, "Oh, go look at the book and decide something else to do." So lots of those stories like that you can read some on Amazon. It's fun to go through and read those reviews too.
Yeah, absolutely. What an incredible way to like actually get into the ideas of children and get into people's homes and like really send this message out in such a fun way.
And that was my goal. I really like screen time can be such just an exhausting topic. It's guilt ridden, it's just hard. It's hard to talk about. So I really wanted to make it fun and playful and enjoyable, and to help just explain to kids on their level. And exciting, like Dr. Nancy Carlson Page like read it and wrote a review on the back of it. And I was just like, "Oh my goodness, like that is huge." And I was just so exciting for all those things.
Well, I really support your message. I really support your book. And I truly hope that this gets more, like even into even more schools and into even more homes, because this is an important message. We really, this is something that we can't keep being like ostriches and you're really putting our head in the sand on. We have to start being really upfront in the way that we speak about screens and the way that we approach them in our homes, within schools and all of that. And this is just an incredible way to do that. And then really promote play as well.
Thank you so much. And it is available on Amazon if anybody is interested. And autographed copies are available on my website, KailanCarr.com.
Amazing. So we'll have Kailan's website, Amazon, all of the things.
Oh, I'm on Instagram too. It's ironic. I know. I try. That was my battle.
You're allowed one pie slice, right?
Yes. But I just like, as a business owner, like jumping through the hoops and the algorithm, I'm fed up. So I'm there, but I'm not trying to like grow my business there, but I am there and do postings and stuff. But I'm trying to find other routes like school visits and selling my book in other ways for marketing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the school visits are such a good idea, really. Like it was such a fun way to engage children.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will have all of those linked down below for anyone that wants to go and check them out. And Kailan, I just really wanted to say thank you so much. Your idea is so inspiring. As I said before, I think so often we sit on these ideas. We see things that we want to change in the world or that we want to educate about, and we don't necessarily know how to do that. And your story is just really inspiring, really a story of perseverance and push, and how well it's been received, and really that this is something important that people are needing.
Thank you very, very much. It's been a long time in process. So yeah, about 4 years of working on it, and from, idea to completion. So, and we're not done yet. We, got more people that need to hear it and see it. We'll keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's part of the storyboard process, right? It's not just the like drawing it out and thinking about it, but then it's the actual like movement of getting people's eyes on it, eyes and ears, and yeah,
it never ends.
Beautiful.
And I have a lot of copies in my garage that it's like, okay, I have to get rid of these. So what do we do now?
So is this your main project at the moment, or are there other books in the works? I know because you said you wrote some books before.
This is the main project at the moment. I started my business after I stayed home from being a teacher. I started with quiet books because they were a great way to keep my kids entertained and off screens when we're out and about. And so I organized quiet book swaps, and I have page kits that you can put together. And then when the pandemic came around, I was creating some activities like fun scavenger hunts, treasure hunts for my kids. And so I have different outlets of my business now. I have quiet books and then digital printables, like pretend play stands and things like that. And then the books are just like another avenue. So right now the book avenue is slowed down, and I'm kind of working on other things and just trying to get this book seen in other places.
Wow, incredible. Well, it's been such a pleasure to hear the story behind it. And as I said before, everyone that's listening, come and check that out in the links down below. And Kailan, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Feeling inspired? We would love to know what you think of this podcast, and would so appreciate you leaving a review down below. Hey, 5 stars doesn't hurt. All of our speakers' details can be found in the caption below, and come and check out our blog for more incredible stories of how clinicians just like you are serving their communities. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we will be delving into an incredible initiative that not only supports kids, but their whole families too. I'll see you then.